here we are. It's a brand new year.
Do you know who you sounded like?
Beverly Leslie.
Beverly Leslie.
Miss Karen Walker.
I thought I smelled gin and regret.
Beverly Leslie. You little munchkin man. Well, how was your Christmas, Miss Legs?
Oh, do you know what, honey? It was quiet, peaceful, and demure.
Oh, very mindful.
Very mindful, darling. I've had a lovely opportunity to recharge, reset, and rebuild.
Well, let me first start by saying Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to all of our listeners.
Oh my
Because
God,
this
yes.
episode, of course, is coming out on
New Year's Day.
Now, full disclosure, we are recording these ahead of time because at this moment I will still be on my cruise. But, you know, we'll not ruin the illusion.
No.
But Happy New Year anyway.
Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, darling.
Thank you so much.
You're
much.
welcome.
Well, first and foremost, I have to say you're looking well.
Considering.
So if anybody happens to be listening to us but doesn't follow you on Facebook, first of all, why not follow Tina on Facebook?
Exactly.
Or on all socials, in fact. But Lexi, you finally put a post up.
I did.
Tell the kids, what was the post about?
Well, the post was about on the 28th of November 2024, I went into Musgrave Park Hospital and I gave birth to twin girls. One is called Cagney and the other one is called Lacey.
Oh my God, congratulations.
Yeah, I had 2 bilateral total hip replacements.
That's insane. So a bilateral hip replacement, that pretty much involves replacing both hip joints on the left and the right side of your body.
Yeah.
And it's like a prosthetic implant, right? And
Yeah.
they do that in like one surgery.
Yeah.
That is madness.
So I had that done both. So what they do is they create a new socket because there's no cartilage left. And then they put in this cup and then they fit the artificial hip into the cup and then they screw it down into your thigh bone.
Wow.
They fix it.
Wow.
And I had both the right and the left because for the last 5 years I have been dealing with osteoarthritis. So people can get a picture.
Yeah.
Let me explain. It started in 2020 around the whole lockdown thing and it wasn't that bad. It progressively got worse. And osteoarthritis comes in 4 stages. Stage 1, manageable. It may never progress. Stage 2, you may need medication. Stage 3, you do need medication and you need care. Stage 4, it's at its worst.
Okay.
And I seem to just jump from 2 to 4.
Flip.
Within a couple of years, and I was on a lot of medication, and but what that was doing, it was destroying my liver, shredding my liver to the point where I couldn't pee properly. I was in a lot of pain, apart from the fact that I was in a lot of pain and discomfort when I walked, when I stood, when I basically was active. So yeah, I went private for my consultation to, I call him a saint, Dr. Chris Malloy. He is an orthopedic surgeon, but he also happens to be the hip specialist of Northern Ireland, if not the entire UK. And the beautiful thing about that day was, here's the irony of it, on the way to the consultation, which was in July, I was in the car and I knew it was bad, and I was saying, Daddy, I need you to stay with me today because I know this is not good for me. I really need your help, so don't let go. So when I went in to see Mr. Malloy, and he had all my history, he had all my x-rays and all my treatments and medication, and he said to me, tell me your backstory. So we sat and I told him about Tina. I told him about working in the Royal, and he was fascinated. And he then asked me about my home, about my lifestyle, and I told him my mummy lives with me and I'm her full-time carer. So he examined me, but he didn't really need to, because what was done was done. And he said, he took out his dictaphone and he goes, do Jared Walls, 56 years of age, put him on my list as soon as possible for bilateral hip replacements. My jaw hit the floor.
Wow.
And it was at that point I knew then that it was quite bad. That's the point of no return.
So the first obvious question I have do you think that there's a link between you working all those years as Tina and being or wearing high heel shoes and stomping the floor, doing the high kicks, the handstands, the sort of jumping off the stage? Do you think that's sort of contributed
that
to this?
attitude? I tell you what, when I was a wee girl, I was really heavy, and then as I grew older, I was happy with my weight. It never bothered me, but then I realised I wanted to lose weight, so I did, but then the heels became higher. And I didn't really pay much attention to the damage that I could have inflicted because it had already started anyway. So answer to your question, yes, of course it did.
So thinking then, you sort of touched on it briefly there, but like, what was your life like before the surgery?
Heartbreaking. It really was, because I worked in Union Street for 20 plus years and I had a break because of the lockdowns. I went back in 2021 and that first year was brilliant. Then we went into 2022 and it wasn't. And I remember after every show, I was in so much pain.
Which is very funny, by the way, because I know this about you and you and I would talk about this, but to watch you on stage...
You wouldn't have thought.
Oblivious.
Yeah.
And I remember watching a number of shows that you were doing and I know that you get really excited, particularly whenever we're doing kind of shows where we're doing dance-offs or something like that, or you're playing a game of some sort and you're getting really into it.
I get so into it.
And I literally watch you stomping the ground.
Yeah.
And as I'm standing there, I'm have this internal sort of monologue going, my God, this is you're going to feel this tomorrow. You're really going to feel that tomorrow.
And then basically, and I knew the surgery was coming, so it gave me a sense of hope and a sense of relief. And what it also did was, I knew that there was an end to this period in my life that was coming. And I became very excited about it. And I thought, how do I comedy this? How do I embrace this? So I looked upon it as giving birth. And I thought, all my life, all I ever wanted was twin girls, and I've never told anybody.
What about your mental well-being? How did that sort of...
Well, it really did. It did have an impact on my mental health. However, I'm a very super positive person.
Yeah.
And I'm a real believer in the power of prayer. What I made myself do, and I can be quite stubborn, as you well know, but I'm very stubborn with myself. And I thought, I'm not going to allow this to define me. And I carried on with my life pretty much as normal, even though I was in a tremendous amount of pain and being really uncomfortable. What it did for me mentally was it drained me. It really drained me.
It's because it's always at the forefront and you're always thinking, for every show you're thinking,
oh my God,
tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like a hangover, isn't it? You kind of know that you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to be in so much pain tomorrow.
I'm going to be so sore. I'm going to be in so much pain. And I'm going to have to try and find a different way to sleep tonight. And which hip can I lie on? Which hip should I not lie on? Which one is sorer? All of those different things. And you kind of I was getting to a point where I was like, I can't keep thinking like this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, every morning I woke up, I was like, right, okay, I've had 3 hours sleep. That's not bad. You know?
Yeah. So you mentioned there that the doctor had recommended for you a bilateral hip replacement. So that
Total
involves getting both of them now.
Yeah.
From what I've understood from talking to you and just doing a bit of research, because I wanted to know how I could best support you. Like, I know that it can be a daunting experience for some people because it does involve a more intensive surgery process. Yeah. Some people choose to get one done, wait for recovery, and then go back and get the second one.
Yeah.
But no, you decided to get both of yours done.
Slam dunk, Mr. Malloy.
You got them done at the exact same time. So
I did.
What was your thought process? What was the influence behind getting it done? Because as I've said already, like you're going to have the shortest recovery time, but it's going to be the most excruciating in terms of pain. Recovery and pain.
I've always been a person, if face the fear and do it anyway. And for me, I thought, you know what, go for it. And when he said I could get both done at the same time, I didn't question it. I actually thanked him. And I left his office that day thinking, oh my word, I can't believe this. And in the back of my mind, I actually felt, for the first time in God knows how long, a sense of relief, a sense of hope. And what it did for my mental well-being, I could feel it starting to shift. Mm-hmm. And I embraced it so well that I was getting both done.
Yeah.
There was no question. And if he had said to me, you need your knees done, I would, what do you want to do then at the same time? Go ahead, love. I'll throw us in a new set of knockers while you're there. Go ahead, love. Give us a pair of bad boys. D cups. Yes. I just embraced the whole thing. I just literally embraced it and thought, right, I need this done. I want to get back to my life as soon as possible. But what I did do incorrectly was I underestimated what it'd be like afterwards.
Yeah, and I think we'll definitely get to that, because I want to talk about this because you know, we had many a conversation about this, and like, I wasn't the one that was undergoing surgery, but as I've said already, I researched this and I watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos because I wanted to know how to support you best.
Right.
And your mind frame was not matching up to that of other people's. And I get, and it's because of your personality. You've already said it. You said it just a few moments ago that you're extremely positive. You're always looking at, you know, the sort of the end result. But we will get to that. But
right, okay.
Tell me then. So how did you then prepare for your surgery? Did you do any kind of preparation? Because I know that you were really active. Yeah. You go to the gym, you know, did you work with your PT about ensuring that, you know, you were strengthening your muscle in that particular area and so on?
Do you know something? I changed PT 7 weeks before my surgery, and I told Fra, my new PT.
Now, to be clear, that was just out of circumstance, wasn't it? Because we had Ashley on the episode, but Ashley's done a change of career. He's
took a different path for a career. And then I spoke with Fra and I told Fra. And during those 7 weeks, I went to very high intensity training where I was going to the gym nearly 5-6 times a week. And even before my hour session with Fra, I was running 5K.
I still find this absolutely mind-boggling, because knowing the pain that you must have been in.
I was.
And still doing you know, a 10K run and then doing high intensity training and you're a glutton.
And the beauty about that was I would have been in pain anyway. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, okay, so I don't know how much less pain I'm going to be in. I just know how much pain I will be in. So I would not sit on my laurels and rest, and I'm not going to let that define me. So as I got towards the end, and then I got my letter.
Yeah.
And I cried.
That came really quick, by the way. Like,
oh, wow.
Didn't it? Because it was, we were
Here's
having
the timeline. Tuesday the 5th of November, Jake, Kathy and I were off to Gran Canaria, sitting in the departures lounge, ready to go for Winter Pride. Phone call. Hi, Tina, can you come in tomorrow? This is Musgrave Park Hospital. My heart broke because I was on my way. I couldn't. I was in the departures. And they said, don't worry about it. We'll keep you at the top of the list.
To be fair, it was a cancellation, wasn't it?
It was a cancellation.
So somebody had cancelled and they were trying to get you in.
And they were trying to get me in as quickly as possible. I thought this was for my pre-op.
Yeah.
I was devastated the whole week because obviously what I'd been through. So I came home, bunch of letters. I knew the top letter was Musgrave. So I opened it, pre-ops on the 15th, went on the 15th, done my bloods, done my x-rays, done ECGs, met the most beautiful deputy sister of Musgrave. And she was called Shantae Joy.
It's like it was like a sign from the universe, wasn't it?
And she was lovely with me, and she was asking all the personal detail questions, lifestyle, home living and all that kind of stuff. That was the 15th of November. My birthday was on the 20th, and on the 21st I got the letter. On the 28th I got my surgery. Yeah. And the 28th was my father's 17th anniversary away from home.
And of course, you know, people will now realise, which we didn't really want to disclose at the time, but
no,
you know, we had a whole bunch of gigs lined up.
Oh, starting on the 28th.
On the 28th. And that was the very first show that you couldn't actually attend. Yeah. And naturally, it wasn't really our job to sort of tell people why you couldn't be at the shows.
And you know what? I think this is a very important time to reach out to everyone. The people, especially the Patreons, and everybody who came, everybody who bought a ticket, all the Drags to Riches crew, Trudy Scrumptious, Robin Diamonds, Taylor Made, and yourself, for keeping it all together. You know, because I was secretly, you know what I'm like. I'm like a lioness.
I do.
If there's a show starting at 3, I'll be there at 1:30.
Yeah.
I like to set out my stall. I like to feel the passion coming. I like to be backstage. Even if I'm there on my own, I will be there on my own because that's just the way I am. That's my drag DNA. And I missed that so much.
Yeah.
It really, really, I was so worried, but I knew our wee baby, Drags to Riches, was in the best hands with you because you're the world's one and only drag daddy. You are the drag.
Have I just been appointed?
You've just been appointed drag
role?
daddy. Yeah, absolutely.
Am I eligible for awards? Can I get a Lifetime Achievement Award?
You make a universal credit. Curs allowance.
Here, wait, can I sign up for that?
You can sign up, you can Curs allowance for me. But yeah, and I was, you know, because I'm so passionate about my wee world and my wee life and my wee career, and I embellish it and I just love it so much. But it's nice to let it go and hand it over to someone else. And it's only then that I got to really look at how hard you worked so hard and all the girlies and stuff, you know. So on the 20th of November was like, I didn't realize it was life changing.
Yeah.
I didn't. I just thought I'd be all right. Should I be up in the Devonish the week after?
And this is why I said I wanted to get.
Oh
to
yeah,
this.
right.
This
Okay.
this is why I said I wanted to get to this because this was exactly your attitude.
Yeah, it was.
So you'd spent weeks telling me, "Oh no, I'll be fine. You know, I'll be in bish bash bosh. I'll be out. I will be sitting on a stage on a chair.
Yeah.
You know, you can wheel me out and we'll have a bit of laugh about it. You know, wheel me out in a wheelchair and I'll still perform and I'll still do my bit." And I was like, Tina, honestly, you need proper you're having bilateral hip replacement. You're having them both done.
Yeah.
You need time to recover. This is not an overnight thing. And you were like, oh, no. I'm up in the Devonish the week after. I'll be sorted. I'll be grand. I'll be great. And I was like, Tina.
Kathy was the same. Jake was the same. And Sammy was the same. And they were looking at me as if I had 3 heads. And I couldn't understand why they were looking at me because I was like, listen, I get my surgery on the Thursday. And that next show is on the Friday. And I'll be all right. And they were like, okay. Because obviously in my mind I was, because I'm such a like, right, let's go, let's get this done. But when I was in when it was over, boom.
Yeah, I remember because you were straight away, you were like, cancelled everything.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. Before we get to your actual surgery, I do want to just ask you one more question.
Go ahead.
So it's the day off your surgery, and I know that Kathy drove you over.
She did.
So I want to know what was going through your head, Tina. You know, did you have fears, concern, excitement? I think one of the things that certainly, as you know, and we will do an episode on this, I have surgery coming up. I'm going for a hair transplant.
That's
I'm
right.
going to Turkey.
She's getting her roots done.
And getting my roots done.
Yeah.
I am a little bit, I'm not fearful, but I am a little bit nervous.
Yeah, of
just
course.
because it's surgery, right? And
Absolutely.
it's, you know,
Absolutely.
and anything that exposes your blood to the world. I sort of, you know, I have got reservations about that. So how did you feel about your surgery?
I'm going to tell you. Do you see, before I go to sleep every night, I say a prayer, and I always say to God, thank you for today. I had the best day. Please, will you keep me happy and healthy for tomorrow?
Yeah.
I fell fast asleep on Wednesday the 27th. I woke up at 5 o'clock like a new pin on the morning of my surgery. And I came downstairs and my wee mummy God lover was sitting here. And I just knew by the look on her face, she was really worried about me. Kathy came to pick me up. I had no nerves whatsoever. I was so excited. And Kathy came in and gave Mummy a kiss and a hug. And I could tell she was sad because she was worried. And I said, Mummy, it's going to be all right. And she said, don't worry, your daddy's with you. And I was like, right, okay, my love. We drove over and we just talked about stuff.
Yeah.
And Kathy had talked about the kids and the grandkids, and I talked about Mummy and about Thumper, and we landed a wee bit too early as per usual.
So what? Let me guess. You were told to be there for. I'm gonna say you were told to be there for 1 PM, and you turned up at 6 AM.
Well, I was supposed to be there for 7 AM in the morning, and we turned up. Well, Kathy purposely got here at 6:30. I wanted her here earlier. Anyway, we got there at about 6:45 because there was no traffic. and there was hardly anybody in reception. And I said, we'll sit here in the car and talk. And we just sat there talking. And in the middle of the conversation, she just looked at me and she went, do you know where we are? And I said, yeah, we're at Musgrave Park Hospital. And she said, do you realise what's about to happen later on? And I was like, yeah, I'm getting new hips. Yeah. And I was like, I know I'm getting new hips. I can't wait. And I'm going to call them Cagney and Lacey. And she was like, what? Are you? And I went, yeah, I'm going to call them Cagney and Lacey. Here she was like, what were their actual names? And I went, Christina, Mary Beth. And she went, oh my God, I don't believe you. So my concept of surgery was to embrace it. And it was a beautiful thing that was about to happen. And to just skip on in, which we did. Oh my God, the receptionist. Oh my God, the receptionist. I'll never forget that lady until the day I die. She was magnificent. She obviously, I think, came from the army.
Right, okay. And
she was so good. One lady on her own, about 40 patients with relatives. And she came in and she opened her office and she was like, not yet. So nobody approached her. She switched her computer on. She got her list, her clipboards, her box of pens. And she just sat there. There was a big glass window and she went, right. Patients only. So patients hopped in or whatever, gave their information over. Unfortunately, some people didn't read their information pack because there was a form you needed to fill in for yourself. So in the meantime, Kathy had went over, left my letter in, and she came back and I said, you go. Anyway, said lady come out when everybody was done. I want you all to listen very carefully for your name. For when I call your name, you're all going up to Ward 4B, which is situated right behind me. Turn to your right, there's 2 lefts. You can use either one of them. And she rhymed off all these names and mine was last. And she called my name, Tina Likes Tantrum. So I was like, oh, here we go. So I got up and as I walked around the corner, who did I meet? Shantae Joy.
Oh, wow. Okay. This was the woman who done your pre-op.
Yeah, she was on her way to the clinic. Wow. For the pre-op clinic. And she just looked at me. I looked at her. I threw my arms around her and I went, I'm getting my surgery today. And she just winked at me and went, I know.
Oh, that was nice.
And I thought,
clearly made an impression.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't know what it was I did or I said, but she knew. And wasn't that lovely that I was last and I got to meet her? We had a brief chat. I turned around, everybody was gone.
So I would say probably, whether you realise it or not, I would say the reason you were probably elected for surgery is because you're actually a sole trader. And the longer you're out of work, the more likely that's going to impact you financially, and especially when you've got bills to pay. So I would say that was probably one of the biggest contributing factors. That, and you're a charmer. Looking after my mum. And you're a charmer
I'm
a
real charmer.
You know,
absolutely.
And I would say that's probably went in your favour as well. But, you know, so there are a lot of those factors that they will weigh up. So that's part of the reason why.
And when they all shuffled into the lift and I turned around and I was on my own and I said, oh my God, Shantae Joy, where do I go? And she goes, just go up to the second floor, you're in Ward 4B. So I went up. I was at the back of the queue and this nurse put her head round and I recognised her and she went, Tina. And she just done this, ushered me forward. I swear to God, I felt like royalty. And the sea of people just fell to either side. And I went up here. She was, oh, I've got you a gorgeous wee bed, love, one you and me. And I was like, oh, Marie, thank you so much. And we went round and I was in the corner, tucked out of the way. And then I jumped up on the bed and I was like, do I strip? And she was like, well, not yet, but Tina, if you want to, go ahead. You know me, I'm not
Tina just herself.
I was like, do you want me to strip? She was like, it's not really necessary at the minute, look. But nursing staff, incredible.
Well, that's great, and it's. I mean, I know that certainly when we come in to visit you after your surgery, which we'll get to anyway, that you had the meeting out of the palm of your hand. You had them all entertained.
I did.
So tell me then. You know, day of the surgery. So they've finally told you, right, this is what time you're going to be in at. What kind of information did they give to you about the surgery? What kind of, did they explain to you about the procedure? And what happened was
we went in and we all sat down and the next thing, this army of National Health Service staff, auxiliary nurses, doctors, anaesthetists, consultants, and they all had this step-by-step routine and it was all information, and then the staff nurse was doing your bloods and she was doing your bits and pieces, and then another lady was coming around and she was just double checking with you about how you felt and explaining everything. And then this gorgeous God with a big marker come walking towards me, and he goes, "Are you Tina?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes to me, "And you're having both done?" And I went, "Absolutely." And he looked at me and he just pulled the top of his big pen off and went, "Pop." And I was like, "Not now, big girl, not now. This is not the time or the place, even though there's a bed." And he said, which one would you like done first? And I was like, "Bite your tongue, shut your mouth." And I said, "Can I have the right hip done first? I need the big arrow first, and then that one second." It was so beautifully professionally done that your information came in a sequence from each individual who was responsible for your care.
Okay.
And then would you hear this? So myself and another lady, I didn't meet her. I hadn't met her yet, but her name was Yvonne. We were the only 2 out of 40 people having bilateral hip surgeries. We were supposed to be last on the list. They put her first and me second.
Okay.
They switched it around. So rather than wait hours and hours and hours, the next thing I knew, okay, yeah, you're going second. You need to go now. The first one's already away. And I was like, what? And I swear next thing I knew, stripped, gown, into bed, and off I went.
So you said there about them being kind of regimented, and every sort of like, every professional healthcare practitioner gave you sort of like their spiel on what they needed to say. So, the consultant would talk about, I'm assuming, the procedure. The anaesthetist would have spoken to you about what they're going to do. So I'm assuming that they explained, some of the risks that might be involved.
Yeah.
So I'm only making an assumption, but things like blood clot, infection, nerve damage. Yeah. But did they reassure you about those kind of things? The
anaesthetist came down, and she was a beautiful looking lady, and she came down and she crouched down and she was like, "Okay, are you happy enough? How do you feel?" I told her I was very excited, and she was taken aback by my enthusiasm. And
I think, I think that that's genuine, by the way.
Absolutely.
Because if you've got somebody like me, I would be really nervous.
No.
And meeting somebody like yourself that was like, "This is the best day ever. This is Christmas came at once."
You know what I mean? Like gay Christmas.
Leave it to the gays to have more than one Christmas in a year. We said that a couple of episodes back. We're now on our 4th Christmas this year. But do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
she was so lovely to me.
Your positivity, though.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably a breath of fresh air for them.
That's what she said. She said to me, "Oh," and I said, "I can't wait for this. I cannot wait." I said, she said, "Have you been through much?" And I went, "Yeah, I have." I said, "And today is just like, it was my birthday last week." And she checked my chart and she went, "So it was." And I said, "So this is a belated birthday present that I'm going to treasure for the rest of my life." I said, "Get me on that bed and get me up downstairs and slice me open." And she just looked at me and she said to me, "Why isn't everybody like you?" And I was like, "Oh no." But I think it was because I had a lot less health issues, there was a lot of older people there, of course, and they were on a lot of heart tablets and breathing apparatuses, but they needed the surgery done, whereas myself and Yvonne, we just needed both our hips replaced, and we were literally... That was it.
And did you get an epidural for your new twins?
I did. When we were on our way to theatre, I was actually singing in the bed, and I was clapping my wee hands, and Marie, who had what is it when you go onto the ward and she takes down all your vitals, your admin, your admission to the ward kind of thing. So she was at the bottom of the bed and the porter was at the top of the bed, and we were having the best banter. And the porter goes, "Does she know where she's going?" And she was like, "That's Tina Legs." And he was like, "All right, okay." So me and Marie were banter. And we were laughing the way I normally laugh. Yeah. And as we went into the theatre, there was just all these heads just looking around to see, who's this person that's gulder laughing, like belly laughing, having banter and clapping their wee hands and doing one-liners. I was so happy to be there. I was so excited to be there. And they literally just continued. I thought I would have been put in a wee bay or something and left. No, they wheeled me right into the theatre. And
did it get real at that point? Did you have any sort of...
No.
Okay.
Not the only time it got real is when they said to me, "We need you to sit up and we're going to put this in your spine."
That was I'm calling it an epidural, but I mean it might as well have been like, it's a spinal anesthetic.
That's spinal anesthetic. And they said, don't want you to worry, don't want you to panic, you're going to feel. And I was do what you want.
Yeah.
And Mr. Malloy just kind of laughed and he went, you're a tough cookie, aren't you? And I went, oh, honey, you've no idea. So the next thing was I don't remember anything, but what I do remember is I remember they're doing the right first, and then all of a sudden my eyes opened and the anaesthetist was right here and she goes to me, are you okay? And I went, yeah, I'm fine. Are you doing my left hip now? And I could hear them. And she said to me, we are indeed. Can you feel anything? And I went, nope. And she went, okay, you go back to sleep. And I did.
Yeah.
I woke up in the middle of it.
Yeah. Do you think they brought you out? Did you think they brought you round?
They brought me round.
Right, okay, just to check on you?
Just to check, because it was bilateral surgery and they had to turn me over. But what happened was it caused the right a bit of trauma.
Right, okay.
Because it was a fresh wound, fresh surgery, but they had no other choice but to roll me over.
Yeah.
And I felt that for about, I'm still feeling it now.
Yeah.
On that thigh. And I remember as clear as day, both my hips were done. And they brought me around. And I was like, is it done? and Mr. Malloy went, that's it. Big Tina's near ready now. off you go. Or words to that effect. And I was like, oh my God, I got my girls.
Well, we're going to take a very short break there.
A short one.
Because we want to find out about your post-surgery. And I want to hear what they've told you about your rehabilitation. And from that point of view. So we'll be right back after these short messages.
See you shortly.
Welcome back. I'm just going to refer to you now as Doot. So before the break, you were telling us about the lead up to your surgery. You had literally had the surgery. So you've had your surgery.
Done.
They brought you round.
Brought me round and then transferred me over back onto my bed. And normally, I think most people would fall back into that deep sleep. Mm-hmm. Oh, I sat up.
So tell me, what were the first few days like after your surgery? So tell me about like the immediate sort of...
When I was wheeled into the recovery theatre, I was sitting up and they put you on the monitors and they check your heart, your blood, and they keep coming over to see how alert you are. And I was so happy and I was so glad I was so ignorant to what had just happened, because I'm not one for dwelling. When something happens, it's done, move on. Then I started to experience the pain. And about an hour or two later, I was so hungry. I was famished. So I went up to 6B, was it 6? Yeah, 6B. And the other three were already in situ. Yvonne was facing me, the lady I spoke about earlier. And they came in, they put me on the heart monitors and oxygen and everything else, said to me, do you want a catheter? I was like, no, I don't. And what happened was then the pain kicked in. Mm. And it was then that I realised, oh my days. And they came around. On a scale of 1 to 10, Tina, how much pain are you? And I was like, 24. And it was pretty painful. But you know what I kept doing? I kept bringing my toes towards my face and pointing them towards the other side of the ward. And then I was drawing circles out the way, in the way, out the way, in the way. And I kept doing that. And I just wanted to keep the blood circulating and the blood circulating. And then as the hours went by, the pain increased. Mm-hmm. And then I felt the burn. And then they went and got me ice packs. Mm-hmm. To calm it all down and constantly coming in, checking, how are you feeling? Do you want more? You know, they don't come at a certain time and give you pain relief. You ask for it, you get it.
Yeah.
You know, and I was on morphine and I was on very strong paracetamol and I was on a liquid And what else? There was something else I can't really remember. But one of the best things, there was 4 of us in the bed. There was myself and there was Yvonne facing me. Kevin was next to her and there was an older gentleman. He was 86, but he was a lovely man. And I think his name was Stuart, and he had a hip replacement. Kevin had a knee replacement, and Yvonne and myself both had bilateral hip replacements. We talked that whole first night, the whole way through. We had great banter with one another, and I think I instigated it to take my mind off rather than lying there and not being able to move.
So even while you're lying in a hospital, you're in a hospital bed, you're still entertaining the ward.
Yeah. I'm ready here, God forgive me, because Stuart next to me, he had visitors, Yvonne had visitors, and Kevin had visitors. I didn't want anybody to come up and see me, so I was happy enough. And one of Stuart's sons started talking to me. God, he was lovely.
Take a day off, Legs.
No,
Take a day off.
Absolutely not, love. I'm always on patrol. No.
So what about? So I've read that they typically like within hours of you having surgery, they have you up.
Yeah.
And walking on your new hips.
Yeah.
Did they do that with you?
So that was my surgery was on the Thursday, and that was on the Thursday night. We talked, kind of slept on and off for an hour. Friday afternoon, they came down about midday, the physiotherapists. So the next thing was they come over to me first, and are you ready? And I was like, yes, I am. And they said, do you want a walking frame or crutches? And I was, I'll have crutches. And it was the first time I stood up. And I went from one side of the bed, the whole way right round, and sat in the chair. And that's the first I'd moved in nearly 72 hours. And they sat me down, and I got a round of applause from everybody in the ward. That was the first time being mobile, and that was the first time I realised, oh my God, here we go. I've got a mountain to climb here. What I did, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to. I tried to stand up.
Right.
And the physios come running over to put me back down. I said, I'm so sorry. And they said, you're not allowed to stand. So with that said, they helped me back into the bed. And then I was whisked off to another ward where you and Gary came to visit me. Mm-hmm. And I had a lovely little side ward on my own.
Did you had your own room?
I had my own room.
You had a garden
my own
view.
teas made. So I did. And and then that realisation of coming after the big anaesthetics and coming from theatre and coming from the recovery theatre, and I was lying there and I had a few moments on my own to contemplate, and I was like, right, okay, so your hips are in, but this isn't about you getting back to, this is about you. The one thing I thought was I need to be careful.
You do, yeah.
I need to be really, really careful because I don't want to go through this again, and I'm not going to make any silly mistakes, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the big challenge for me, was to how do I navigate my recovery? Because at the end of the day, I can have all the physio I want. I can take all the medication in the world, but it's me that has to get up.
Yeah.
It's me that I have to learn to walk again, you know? And it has been tricky, just because I'm being extra careful, and I'd rather be extra careful and make sure that I'm doing it properly.
Yeah.
Because I had an accident. Oh my God. So on the Saturday morning, I decided to get up to go to do a wee-wee. And as I looked out my private personal side ward, there was a lady
with a garden view.
With a garden view. And the lady was standing outside the toilet, which is closest to my side ward. So I thought, I'll go down to the next one, which I made my way down.
And that's quite a walk, by the way.
Yeah.
Quite a walk.
Stubborn. And I thought, I'd be fine. I'd go all the way down there. And then I went all the way down there, and I went all the way in. And then I'd done the wee, and then I came back out again, and the whole place started to spin. And the nurse looked up at me and she goes to me, you okay? And I went, I'm dizzy. And within seconds, there was a crowd of nurses around me that had a chair below me, and my bed was being wheeled out of my side ward. And it was because I had went too far too quickly. And I think that was a good omen. Mm-hmm. From the get-go, where I thought, oh my God, I've had a fallen.
You need to remember yourself, Lexi.
You need
to remember yourself.
Just wet yourself.
You'd plenty of people around you to clean it up.
Oh,
and believe me, I'm sure they've seen a lot worse.
Felt like Karen Walker from Will and Grace. Rosario.
So how are you now adjusting then to having, because I mean, you know, you've had both hips replaced.
Yep.
You have limited independence.
I do.
And you've went from being an independent woman
fun-loving, fearless female
to being a not so independent woman.
No.
So tell me, what kind of support system have you had in place during the last couple of weeks? You know, have you had help from family, friends? Do you have any sort of professional people have come in to visit you since your surgery? And how are you now navigating this sort of limited independence?
Well, before I left, you were there when the physios were with me.
I was.
And they offered me physio.
Mm-hmm. And I was taking great pleasure, by the way. You were like, can you film this for me? And they brought out that piece of wood. Yeah. And of course, you were trying to step up onto it. Now, the video you put on Facebook, I pressed the button at the wrong time, but at that point we were like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Tina Legs Tantra. Again, never a day off, Legs.
No, never a day off, love. And I was still smiling even though I was in excruciating pain.
You looked like you were in pain, hon.
Did I?
You really did, yeah.
Oh, right,
yeah.
okay.
No, I mean, you were smiling, but
I was in agony.
I mean,
sheer agony. Do you know what the good thing was when that wee guy, his name is Peter, the wee physio, and he had stated that he'd never had a drag queen.
Never been to a drag show
Never
before.
Been to a drag
Never
show.
Heard of Cagney and Lacey.
Never heard of Cagney and Lacey.
Damn
we
kids
upstart.
today.
Honest to God, darn pesky kids. So and he amused me. I liked him. I loved them all. I thought they were all just so superb. But when he said to me, and you were there, and I said about going back to work, and he said, just be very, very careful and wear flat shoes and trainers or whatever. And I said, and what about my heels? Probably June. My heart sank.
Now, can I tell you? So you were in the room at the time, and I was outside talking to Gary, and I was listening to what he was saying, and he had said, you know, you're probably looking at June next year, 6 months post surgery, before you can wear a pair of heels. And I turned to Gary and I went, I can tell you right now, she is sitting there going, yes, and as soon as he leaves the room, she will go, I'm not fucking wearing heels. I'm not going to be not wearing heels for 6 months. Let me tell you that. And I said, she's already thinking February. I can tell she's going for 3 months rather than 6.
Absolutely. But from what I've experienced since I got home, they did offer me physio, and I said, look, I can look it up online. And he said, that's fine. I don't see the point in going somewhere to do exercises that you're only supposed to do at home anyway.
Yeah. So
I have been doing my exercises since I got home. My support network have been angels, yourself, Glenn Marshall Adams, Kathy, Jake, Sammy, and my mummy as well. Even wee Thumper, God love him, he's 9 years old. And I knew that when I came in, they just brought me home from hospital, that dog knew that something wasn't right, you know. So
and Veronica's been round to see you quite a few times as well, hasn't she?
Yeah, oh God, the beautiful Veronica has been gorgeous. I've had flowers delivered. I've had Danielle, my other friend, she called to see me the other night because I didn't say anything for the first 2 weeks. So, I mean, the support network, and also my beautiful neighbour Debs. Oh my God. And her daughter Jessica, you know, and if you could put your arms around the kindness, I would need to borrow 100 pairs of arms, because it kind of, it hits you up the face, and it makes you realise how much people genuinely care about you when you're in a situation and you do become incapacitated to a certain point, you know. And the thing is that people might see you getting better, but you can't stress enough, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I need to be careful. Yeah. And I added to that the frustration of being so physical and being so early and being so on the ball. And now all of a sudden my life has become, I'm learning how to walk. I can't walk without crutches. I'm on morphine. I use a lift to get to bed. You know, all of these kind of things. And it's nice because I've never nurtured myself before.
Well, you're being forced to slow down, which you've never really had to do before. And I know how much that really irks you.
Oh, God. You have no idea.
But can I say, though, you know, like the way that people have rallied around and even just showing their support for you through messages on Facebook and stuff like that. Yeah. I have to say I'm not surprised, because I know that you know this, but I don't know whether you truly understand, you know, just the things that you do for others just by performing.
I know.
You know, you never really truly understand what someone's going through. And when they come to see you at a show, Tina, like that's their 3 hours of escapism away from whatever problem.
I know.
You know, so where you're being forced to slow down and use the term incapacitated, that people will want to rally around and repay that debt to you.
Yeah.
And, myself included, you've been there for me for a very long time, and it's a no-brainer. And it's the same for, your close support network. Those people truly care.
And even the people who I've never met here on social media who follow me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, all of them. Is there anything you need? Is there anything you want done? Please don't hesitate. If you want to do.
And these are from strangers to you, like, really, aren't they?
Yeah, they are strangers to a certain extent.
That's my point. Is that people feel like they know you so well.
Yeah. I get that now.
Do you know that way? And that's why. And I appreciate that you appreciate those people. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't think you ever really truly understand the impact that you have upon a person and the relationship that you form with somebody.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Remember when you used to watch The X Factor? Remember when The X Factor first came out, right? My mummy said this to me. And we used to watch The X Factor, and they used to put someone through to the quarterfinals or judges' houses. And you would have got Sharon or Simon or Louis saying, they just don't know how good they are.
Yeah.
My mummy would often say that, that's you.
Yeah.
And I would say, what? And she'd say to me, you have no idea what you're like. And I would say, okay. But she would mean it in a lovely way, like. And I'm glad that I don't.
Yeah.
I don't take what I do to heart.
Mm-hmm.
I take what I do to everybody else, and I do it with my heart.
Yeah.
Because when I'm on stage, I don't feel like I am performing. I feel like I'm in the happiest, safest place I could ever wish to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what comes across. I'm your best friend on stage. I'm your favourite sister. I'm your loyal neighbour. I'm that person that, you just sit and you look at and you laugh and you wet your knickers laughing because I'm being totally ridiculous, over the top, really sarcastic, and it's all done in good humour.
Yeah.
Can
I just say, by the way, if anybody hears a small bark in the background, that's Thumper, Tina's dog, who is desperate. We've locked him in the kitchen. God bless him. He's not used to being part of the of the.
He's not used to the kitchen.
No, he's not used to the kitchen. He's definitely not. But yeah, no, like 100% agree with you. So tell me, what is the short-term goal for like the next stage of your recovery? So you mentioned you're doing your exercises and all the rest of it, but
do you know what I've done?
What'd you do?
After the 7 days, I realised the impact this was having on my mummy. And she's 83. So I thought, right, Buster, you need to fix yourself here. So I got up a week after surgery and I went into the kitchen and I put all the washing in the washing machine. And I done a wash, and that was washed, and put it in the dryer. And then there was another load, and I put that in the washing machine. And I done 2 washes and 2 sets of drying, and I folded them all up. And I knew when I done that, I thought, right, okay, I'm getting good. Now I did slip, but I saved myself, and that scared me, and that was another warning. So then on day 8, I went into the kitchen before Mummy got up. My sleep is up the left. So I might sleep for 2 or 3 hours a night, and I'm getting up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning. That for me now is normal, but I'll fix that.
Yeah.
So, and I was coming downstairs, and instead of Mummy making breakfast, I made breakfast. All I done was make it, and then Mummy brought it out to the living room and we had it. So then I had a good talk with Mummy about her going to the caravan and leaving me on my own, let me get on with it. And she was kind of relieved, but she was also kind of a wee bit worried as well, because I think when she's seen what when I first initially got out of hospital and when you guys left, she was so shocked. Mm-hmm. She was literally so shocked. And I said to her, Mummy, I'm going to be okay. So, and once Mummy left, I thought to myself, make a plan. And this was it. And this is what's worked. I pick 3 things to do every day. 3 small things. Making the bed, changing the covers, doing the dishes, taking Thumper for a very short walk in the morning, if I can.
Yeah.
What else? Taking the rubbish out and coming back in again. All things that are easily accessible, close to home, around the home. Making my dinner, doing the dish, just normal, simple things. Doing a bit of tidying up, sorting out some paperwork, phone calls, emails, and looking forward to 2025, having plans, you know, and things like that. So not only if I'm sitting down, I'm then taking my phone, I'm making notes, I'm making plans, I am preparing for the next 3 months with my condition in mind.
So what does that kind of look like? So does that mean things like, you know, walking unaided, maybe managing stairs?
I should be able to hope to be walking unaided by January the 9th, because everybody's different. Mm-hmm. Recovery is up to you. That's what Mr. Malloy said. It's up to you, basically. And at the minute, I'm still on 2 crutches. Around the house, 1. Mm-hmm. If I have to go outside, it's 2.
Yeah,
it's too dangerous. It's too wet.
It's not the right time of year.
It's not the right time of year for crutches.
Yeah.
So, and I think when I get to the point, and I can go outside unaided by crutches, then I can look forward to maybe then building that up.
Yeah.
And maybe go back to the gym and do soft, easy things from the waist up.
Yeah.
You know, I think learning to walk again is, I wouldn't say like it's climbing a mountain or anything, but it is difficult because there's still quite a lot of considerable amount of pain.
Yeah.
Still now, as we're talking, both my thighs feel like they're on fire. Mm-hmm. But that's all the muscles on the inside, knitting and everything, curing and healing and all of that kind of stuff. But it's a burn that's going to burn out.
Yeah.
Every day gets a wee bit less and less.
So we're a little over 2 weeks, but around 3 weeks, aren't we? We're
this Thursday coming is 3 weeks.
So we're
post-surgery.
Just over 2 weeks post-surgery. Yep. So let's reflect upon that.
Okay.
So how does your body, and I appreciate you've said you're still in pain. Yeah. I get that.
Uh-huh.
Take the pain out of it if you can.
Take the pain out of it, right, love.
How does your body feel compared to how it felt before the surgery? Does it feel different in any way?
Yeah.
Do you feel that, and I know that I've just said like take the pain out of it, but do you feel different?
Do you know what? And this is a gospel truth. When I went to get my staples out, and Moya, the nurse over in the clinic, and she wanted me to land the trolley, and I said no, so I stood up. She said to me, I've never done it like this before. And I said, Moya, I'm going to bend over with my 2 hands on that trolley. I said, you get a wee seat and sit beside me at either thigh. Oh, I've never done. Oh, I read enough. And she went click, 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 21 on the right and 21 on the left. But on the left, there was one that was embedded in my skin. And she went to take it out, and it caught, and I let out a big yelp. Oh, I'm awful sorry, Tina, I'm awful sorry. So I talked the whole way through, clip, 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 clip. She had to count them all. And then she said, I'm going to wait for a minute or 2 because there's just that one more to come out. And I went, no problem. And she said to me, can I tell you something? And I said, yes. She said to me, you're a fast healer. I said, how do you know that? And she said, look at your skin. And I said, really? And she went, it's immaculate. And I went, right, okay. I said, do you think I'm going to scar bad? And she went, no, definitely not. So I'm using the bio oil. Uh-huh. Bio oil's my brand new best friend, ladies and gentlemen. I love
well, you know, they say you should use bio oil after pregnancy.
Uh-huh. That's the sign.
And you've just gave birth to twins.
And within a second, we were talking, and she went, clip, and the clip came out. So I think it might have worked itself out. So when she said that to me, that made me feel so much better. But you know what? I actually think these 2 new girls that I have actually pushed my bum even higher. I can feel it. See, when I walk, I can feel them move a wee bit now.
Have you noticed like a reduced joint pain in your hips?
Oh, absolutely.
And I guess it's kind of hard because you're trying to work out what's different between what's actually
There's
surgery.
The pain that I have now is a recovering pain, and it's getting less and less. The pain I had before was, if you can imagine, bone on bone grinding, just constantly, and it was just so long and horrible. Where this is like, and then it gets less and less and less. Because if you imagine, they had to slice me right open twice, and drill, and then cut out. And carve, and then mold in, and then put the new hip joint in, and then drill.
I meant to actually ask you, by the way, when they were doing that, could you feel them tugging at you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, it's bizarre, isn't it? It's like prepared.
It didn't bother me one bit. I caught a lay there with a lollipop. I'm like, go ahead, love. I literally did when I turned over onto my right and she was just right there.
Yeah.
Hello. And I went, hello.
Beyond sort of, you mentioned there that you were surprised about how quickly you were healing, or certainly the nurse was, and I'm sure that was probably a surprise to you.
Yeah.
Has there been any other kind of like big surprises of your whole experience so far? Have you had any sort of unexpected physical or even emotional challenges, or have you encountered any sort of random sudden pain that you hadn't really thought of?
The only thing that scares me is for 6 weeks I'm not allowed to cross my legs. I'm not allowed to lie on my right or lie on my left, and I'm not allowed to tip over to each side.
Yeah, because
that is the high risk of dislocation.
Yeah.
So I find that tricky. Mm-hmm. But when you're just comfortable and you're feeling a wee bit kind of, and I go to cross my legs, and you can...
It's that memory muscle, isn't it? If you're that used to doing it. Yeah, God,
and you can feel the pain.
Okay.
That's a warning.
Yeah.
You do not cross your legs.
Yeah.
And there's been times getting in and out of bed is quite difficult sometimes, because you can't sit up straight because there's too much pressure on your thighs. You have to when I sit in the bed, I let myself fall back because there's instant relief from that. But when you're getting up and you're using the crutches to get up, and you put them in the H position, and then you hoist yourself up, and you can feel the new thighs going, moving around inside you, because it hasn't formed properly yet.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, Cagney and Lacey. Hi, girls.
So how has your overall perspective on a bilateral hip replacement changed now that you've experienced it?
If anybody is out there and you're listening and you have any doubts about going for any type of replacement surgery, shoulder, hip, elbow, knee, get it done as quickly as possible.
And I'm so glad you've said that, because I know that you and I had a conversation about this once upon a time.
We did.
And I think you had sort of said, about your age, and
absolutely.
And I sort of said, but what is it you're actually waiting for? All you're doing is prolonging the agony that you're in at the moment. It makes total sense to go out there
and get it done.
And then you can live comfortably,
Well, that's the thing for me, because I think as we get older in life, and something is going to make you pain-free, number one, medication-free, number two, and number three, peace. Mm-hmm. Peace to get up in the morning and not feel anything. Peace in the morning to go to your drawer with all your meds, and you have this wee bag and you have that wee bag and you have, the wee plastic
drug containers. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Thursday, one of those. And to walk past that would be just bliss. So for me overall, as I said in my blog when I first took to social media there Thursday just past, the two things I'm looking forward to is being pain and medication free. And I would urge anybody out there, if you have any doubts whatsoever, just stop. Think about the pain you're in now. That goes, and from everybody who has been there for me before, during and after, and I have a bit of a journey to go yet until I feel so safe and secure, and I don't mind how long I wait. Well, take that back. I don't want to have to wait too long, but I don't want to be impatient and make a big mistake. I just, from the bottom of my heart, I have to thank everybody for, especially you guys, your kindness. You've all rallied round. Emotionally, it hasn't hit me yet. Definitely hasn't hit me yet. And I think that it will, because we have a big show, and I will be there, on the 14th of February in the Crumlin Road Jail. Yep. And it's our Drags to Riches Goes to the Movies special.
Yeah.
And oh my God, the ideas we have, and I think that's going to be my first big production.
Yeah.
So that's a lovely goal. That's a nice timeline. That's 2.5 months.
And I think that's realistic as well.
Absolutely. And
even though your physio will tell you differently.
Yeah. Here's my plan. I will perform in flats.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Peter at his word.
Yeah.
He's a professional person, physiotherapist. So I'm going to take that man at his word. He was a lovely professional guy. And if he said to me, Tina, you shouldn't be wearing them to June, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to meet him halfway. So I will perform in my flats.
Get a kitten heel.
No, I don't do kitten heels, love. Look at my pins. See, when I go to do my banter and I'm sitting on the stool, I put my heels on.
Well, that's it, because you don't have to walk in them.
Exactly.
You know, that's it. So we can put them on the stage.
It's not really cheating, is it?
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
I guess the only other question that I have is just, and you touched on this slightly throughout the podcast, and I appreciate that you might have answered some of the questions, but, you know, hindsight.
It's a wonderful thing.
Looking back, is there anything that you wish that you might have done differently to prepare? And I appreciate you said you maybe didn't know about pain management and stuff like that, and I get that, but what about, you know, is there anything kind of like organising your home, maybe seeking advice from other people, even just preparing yourself mentally for the recovery? Is there anything that you think you might have done differently?
No. Definitely
You're such a stubborn person. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. I wouldn't change anything, because even though I was so naive and blind to it, all I could think about was, oh my God, I'm getting surgery. Oh my God, I'm getting surgery. I'm going to get fixed. I'm going to get fixed. And I think it's because I have such a young head and such a hopeful heart that I don't have time for doubt and if anybody was to sit in front of me and try to make me doubt that, I would be the first person to say, are you nuts? I just think, you know, everybody's different, and how they perceive medical procedures can be terrifying and intimidating. I get that. But in order to enhance your life, none of us know what's coming tomorrow. And if you could spend one day pain-free if you're in constant pain, think about what that's like. Because if you were having your surgery tomorrow, then Tuesday is a new life.
Yeah.
And that's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, I'm 57 years young, and I have the energy of a dozen elephants in the jungle, a dozen. And I cannot wait until I get back to full flight, because...
Well, actually, that's a question I have for you. So what is the one thing that you're looking forward to doing the most once you've recovered? What are you most excited about? And I mean, you're probably going to tell me work, but is there something that you're really excited about doing?
Yeah. Going to chapel.
Going to chapel?
Yeah.
Are you excited about, maybe travelling, getting back to going on holiday?
I did have a holiday booked for the 29th of December, but I moved it. I did. And Jet2 were awful good to give me £900 back, and they moved it to March. And that was a sensible thing to do.
Yeah.
My work is always going to be my work. I love it. And it's going to be there for me. And I'm very, very grateful for it. But the week kind of sort of private things to me are like going to chapel, going training and stuff and things like that. My routine is very basic and simple and straightforward, but it works for me. So my day starts off at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I walk thumper, and then I come back, I have a cup of tea and a shower, and I get ready. I go to chapel, I go to the gym, and then I go to shops and blah, 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 blah. I just want all that back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get it back pain-free.
Yeah.
And I don't care if I wobble a wee bit at the beginning, and if I'm not able to train as hard or as efficiently as I should. Fra's fully up to date with my condition, and he's going to help me rebuild, get my... See, I went across my legs there. Look at that leg, cocked and ready to flick. Get you down there, Cagney, what I tell you. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to it all. Work, I cannot wait to get my big fat gorgeous gay drag queen hands on it. Get backstage with the girlies, banter, cracks, slagging, new ideas, costumes, drama, gossip, and them coming in and saying, do you think maybe Glenn might let me do it? Or maybe I could move my song to that part of the show? And I'll be like,
never.
You're going to get it.
You can do that on any show that we're not using a projector. I do not care, but it's when they come to me and they ask me 3 minutes before they're due to go on the stage, can I do a different number? And I have no visuals for that song.
Whatsoever.
It's like, no, yeah.
So that's what I miss. I miss all the camaraderie, and in the group chat and organising the shows and watching who's on stage next. And girls, you've got to you're on
the drama that goes
3
with
songs
all that.
And all of that.
Yeah.
I was watching it the other night, and I was so happy and proud, because it was like, okay, we're coming now, and it was like, oh my God, I miss that so much.
Yeah,
and and I'm looking for, I don't want to say how much I miss it because I will get emotional, and that's not why we're doing the podcast. I think if I do get emotional, I will be emotional on my own. It certainly hasn't hit me, not by a long stretch, because I've had a life-changing event twice over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that to embrace it, I'll embrace it with happy tears. Mm-hmm. And it'll probably not hit me until I walk on stage.
And I think that will be the first realization, because I know there will be an absolute outpouring of support, and people will be delighted to see you back on stage. God, well, look, Lexi, thank you so much.
Oh, darling.
It's been really insightful. I'm so glad that we got to sit down and have this chat finally, and we can put it out into the world, and people can now hear your story.
Yeah, they can.
We don't have time, unfortunately, for any other segment.
No.
But thank you for being candid and being honest.
Oh, absolutely. Every time, love.
I appreciate this was more of an interview than a chat.
Yes, and I'm actually glad to. And I want to say kind of sort of sorry, because I felt like you were interviewing me.
I know.
But at the same time, I kind of think this one's a wee bit different.
It is. I can't relate to anything that you've went through, so it could only have really went one way, which was me asking you all the questions.
Yeah, and all our lovely listeners, listeners, loyal and new. If there's someone out there that or you're familiar with, and they're struggling with pain, take a tip from Tina. Go private for your consultation. Don't wait 7 or 8 years. You don't have to. Yes, it cost me a little bit of money, and I mean, it was only a little bit of money, but look what happened.
Yeah.
I went in July for my consultation. I had my surgery on the 28th of November.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that'll work for everybody, but my God, I don't think I would have been able to last this long, because at the end of the day, if for whatever reason, and you can't afford it and you need that surgery, the high chances are you'll get it.
Absolutely. There's no point living with chronic pain if you can do something about it.
Nobody deserves to. Not when we have a National Health Service.
I agree.
New Year's resolution, quickly.
Go on holiday more. I don't know if it's a resolution, because it's not something that I want to give up, but it would be amiss of me to not mention the fact that I am getting a hair transplant, which I've mentioned a couple of times. So
lovely.
I'm really looking forward to starting the new year with no hair and finishing it with a half a head of hair, because I'm only getting the front half done. Have to wait till the end of the year to get the back half done. What about you?
Mine's is to stay healthy.
Absolutely.
My resolution is just I'm never going to change, and I like it. I just want to stay healthy. Healthy. Manifest. I've had my bumps, feel my lumps. I'm ready.
I think she's manifesting, people.
Absolutely.
Well, Lexi, until next time, chin chin. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of G&T Sips and Giggles. If you've enjoyed our conversation, then don't forget to share it with your friends, and why not subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Your reviews mean the world to us and really help others find the show, so please take a moment to leave one, but be kind. If you'd like to support the podcast, why not consider joining us on Patreon? For the cost of a drink a month, you can listen to episodes early, access exclusive digital content, and get discounts to upcoming G&T shows. Your support helps us keep the conversation flowing. Cheers, we'll see you next time. Chin chin.